2026 is going to be a make or break year for real estate investors. Some are going to lose everything and others are going to create generational wealth. The difference between the two is knowing what's coming before it all happens. So stick around for this video because we're going to go over the trends that are going to determine whether you win or you get wiped out. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ryan Pineda. I have bought and sold over $100 million worth of real estate, and I have founded multiple 8-figure businesses. So what's gonna make or break 2026? Well, are we gonna have more transaction volume or not? It's really that simple in my opinion. Even if prices don't go up, even if they stay the same, but we're transacting so much more, it's gonna be better for the whole industry. Now I'm gonna cover that later in the video for my predictions at the end, but let's just talk about, hey, what happens if things stay the same? What do we do? How do we win in that scenario? Well, there are currently homeowners who are sitting pretty on a low interest rate home, but there's a lot of homeowners who bought in 22, 23, and 24 who now have negative equity. They fell into the trap of people saying, buy the home, date the rate, but here's the thing, the rate didn't change, and therefore the price of the home did not go up. Everyone thought that if rates drop, prices are gonna go up, and so even if they're overpaying a little bit by now, they'll have refinanced and then they're gonna be all square. Well, that hasn't happened for anybody who's bought a home in the last few years. And so now we are seeing more foreclosures than we have since the pandemic. And it makes sense. People are getting underwater. Housing is very unaffordable. The cost of living just keeps going up. Inflation is going up. It is really, really difficult to afford home ownership right now in America. In fact, this is the first time in my life that I have recommended that people might want to consider renting a home. One of my friends, Grant Cardone, who's been on my show many times, he's famously said that home ownership is not where it's at. He believes that you only want cash flow properties, that buying, a personal residence is not a good thing. And, most people have hated on him for many years for that. And even for me, for the last 10 years, I have disagreed with that. I've bought all the homes that I've lived in. They have made me a lot of money from appreciation over the years. I've been able to sell them, move up to different homes. It's been great. But right now, I actually think it might be better to rent a home. And that is a scary proposition when it comes to transaction volume, because if people are thinking like that as well, there's gonna be low transaction volume because they don't wanna buy. It's more affordable to rent. So in the community that I live in, the cheapest homes are about $2 million. And if you factor in getting a mortgage, your HOA expenses, maintenance, all that stuff, your total all-in monthly is probably like $14,000. Well, that same home right now in the community, I saw one for rent for like $7,000. Now, most of them are usually like $8,500 or $9,000, but this is my point. If somebody was willing to rent out that home for $7,000 and the mortgage and everything else would have normally been $14,000. Plus, when you rent, you don't even have to fix anything up. It's the landlord's responsibility. It's like, well, why would you ever buy that home? It literally doesn't make any sense. I don't even care once you factor in appreciation and all this stuff. If you're saving $7,000 a month, you can go use that to grow that $7,000 in whatever strategy you want, whether it's reinvesting into your business, into Bitcoin, whatever. I don't really care. Now, that might be a luxury example, but we're seeing the same things happen right now for normal everyday homes. A $500,000 home here in Vegas is probably gonna have a mortgage of $3,000, maybe even $3,500, depending on how much money you put down. But the problem is that same home is only renting for $2,500 max. So once again, even for the middle-class family, it is far more affordable to rent that home. So if I were to take a negative view on it right now, because of that huge discrepancy between what it costs to rent versus what it costs to own, that is not a good sign for an increase in transaction volume. And if we don't get that increase in transaction volume, then potentially prices go down. If you're trying to flip houses, it's gonna take longer to flip the house because you're sitting there waiting. Or if you're like a lot of my friends right now and a lot of our students at Wealthy Investor, you're going into it factoring in that the price is gonna go down. So even though the price might be $500,000 today, you're looking at the property and you're like, hey, you know what? We're gonna predict that it's $470,000 by the time we fix it because we're gonna list it at $470 and just try to move it quickly so we're not waiting all this time and then putting ourselves at risk if the market changes. So a lot of flippers, especially the experienced ones, are doing just that because they're now underwriting their deals much safer. By pricing it below market right now, they're able to sell them quicker. But in the long run, what it negatively does is it sets new comps that are now saying, hey, the houses in this neighborhood are worth $470. So prices just went down. down. If you're a real estate agent, this is obviously still bad news because you thrive off transaction volume. So if you're gonna win in this environment, you better go hustle and market even harder. You better go get as many listings as you can. You better find as many buyers as you can. In fact, a buyer could be potentially even more valuable in an environment like this because you know they're actually going to buy. If you get a listing that's not priced right, I mean, yeah, you have a listing, but it may never move and you may never make money. Now, what about an optimistic scenario? What if things start to shift? What could make it in favor for somebody in 2026? Well, number one, if you've got cash sitting on the sidelines right now, it could become a great opportunity. If prices start going down, if people get desperate, you're gonna be able to go scoop up those deals when people start doing panic sales. If you're trying to buy a home just to live in it, the example I just said where it was $500 and now you're gonna be able to get it for $470, well, guess what? You just got a better deal than you otherwise would have. And at some point, rates are gonna come down, so that home will get more affordable for you. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but you're getting a better deal than you otherwise would have. If you are building houses, I actually believe that this could be a great time to start your projects, because even though things are currently slow at this very moment, by the time you are done with the property and it's hitting the market at some point next year, I think things are gonna be different, especially if you're taking the optimistic point of view. Prices could be higher, demand could be up, rates could be lower. Everything in that environment could make your build significantly more valuable and sellable quick. So what do I think is going to happen? Well, the Fed has already said multiple times that they're finally going to start dropping interest rates. This is what the stock market is predicting. Everybody is predicting it. Now, the question becomes, how low are they going to actually go? Cutting it a little bit of a quarter point right here and there is not going to make a big difference. But if we can get interest rates into the low fives, well, I think that creates a ton of demand. I think it creates a ton of volume. If we ever went under 5% again, it would be crazy, but I do not see that happening. I think we'll be somewhere in the fives, but if we can trend in the low fives, I think that that's enough to get us out of this frozen market. You'll get sellers who go off the sidelines and say, you know what? Yeah, I'll give up my 3% loan because I really have to sell. I got to get equity out of this home. You know, I got to upgrade. I got to get more space, whatever their situation is. I also think there are other variables that are more hidden that people aren't seeing. For one, millennials and Gen Z are now in that buying phase of their life and their careers. And so I think you're getting more people who are now eligible to buy a home than there were before. We still don't have enough supply of homes. That's the only reason prices haven't gone down, even though there's been very little transactions. Builders just can't build fast enough. And we know that that's not changing anytime soon because regulations are just way too strict. It takes way too long to get permits and plans and all this stuff approved. And so we're going to continue building very slow unless something changes. And then my guess is Trump is going to do other things. I mean, this guy really wants this presidency to just have a booming economy, and that is not what's happened this very first year. And so I think he's going to be bringing in some government programs in 2026 that are going to stimulate the economy. I don't know exactly what it looks like. He's floated doing no income tax for people under $200,000 in income. They've talked about eliminating property tax. I think they're going to do first-time home buyer incentives and all these other things. So that's just simply a guess based on who Trump is and what he wants to accomplish. But I would bet pretty aggressively that something is going to happen from him for home buying. As for me, what am I personally going to do? Well, about 2 years ago, I flipped my entire business model after I got wrecked on all those house flips. Back then, I would have 50 house flips going on at any given moment. I mean, that was $20 million worth of real estate. So after that, I ended up switching to pretty much a wholesale dominant model. And not only that, I went from wholesaling only here in Las Vegas to wholesaling all across the country. And for me, nothing is going to change. We're going to continue wholesaling all across the country at a very high level. I love it because we're able to get leads very cheaply doing it that way. We've gotten really good at closing deals over the phone virtually. And with all of our softwares, we're able to find buyers in those markets very easily. And it's led to a business where we're consistently doing six figures or multiple six figures every single month in wholesaling. And for me, it's so much less risky. We don't have to deal with contractors. I don't have to take on debt and loans. If a deal doesn't work out, it's all good. We can back out, no harm, no foul, but we can still make a lot of money. And so if any of you guys do want to run the same system that I run for wholesaling and house flipping, because I'll still flip a few houses here and there, then I want you to go to wealthyinvestor.com. You can go book a call with our team. We'll talk you through our cash flow 2.0 system and how you can start wholesaling today with the same leads that I get, same software, same process, script trips, contracts, everything. But I'm just gonna scale that. I really don't wanna buy more flips. I'll only buy home run flips. I'm not really too interested in rental properties at the moment. We already talked about how cheap rental prices are compared to how much it costs to get the home. So I just don't really think it's a great time to be buying rental properties, especially single family. I do think that there's a chance I might buy some commercial real estate next year, but only for the sole reason of getting tax write-offs. If all my other businesses are going really well and we're making a ton of money, then I'm gonna need some write-offs, and so I'll probably buy some big buildings. I might even buy a new office space for a company, we'll see. But that's my plan. And if I was to set a prediction for 2026, I would say it's gonna be better than it's been in the last 3 years. It's not going to be anywhere close to what it was during the pandemic or 2021 or early 2022. It's gonna kind of be like the normal market that I grew up in from 2015 to 2019. Nice slow appreciation, good transaction volume, nothing crazy, rates in the 5% range. And you know what? That is a great market to be an investor in. You can make generational wealth in a very predictable market. So that's what I'm hoping for in 2026, and that's my prediction. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.